Folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Taking the first load over to our meeting place today for our big monthly meeting. Enjoyed last night's live stream. If you missed it, you're not going to find it on YouTube. So it's over on Rumble. The reason is, I explained it last night, but in case you missed it, if we talk about things in the live stream that's getting a little too close to the truth that the old censorship wouldn't like, right after the live stream I delete it, and then you can go watch the replay over on Rumble. So if you missed it, it's an hour and a half. It's really good. We covered a lot of different topics and answered a lot of questions. It was a good talk. It's more of the same every day, right? You know, every day you wake up, you see the news, if that's what you do, and you see that it's just more and more ridiculousness. We live in a complete banana republic. I mean, it's off the charts at this point. You know, politicians have always been known to lie. It's always been a joke as long as I've been alive, and I'm sure before I came around. But I'm telling you, the level of corruption and lying now, it may not be that it's, I think it is worse. But it's not just that it's worse, it's that it's so overt. Like, they're not trying to hide it at all. There was a little video clip of a congressional hearing where, and I don't even know which one, but one of the committees was questioning Anthony Blinken, the Secretary of State. And this senator or congressman, or I don't know, I wasn't paying that kind of attention, right? Because I don't care who they are. But he was asking Anthony Blinken, who is cutting off the president's microphone? So this just happened this past week, but this has happened many times where he's speaking somewhere, doing some kind of public thing, and he starts to do the little bumbling and goes off on some tangent, and then all of a sudden his microphone is cut, and they're like, all right, folks, thank you, blah, blah, or the screen just goes, thank you for shopping at Walmart kind of thing. And so he's asking it, and Anthony Blinken's like, oh, no, that doesn't happen. Biden is totally in charge of his speaking and stuff. That never happens. And the congressman or senator presses him several times, pointing out the times that he's done it, and says, are you saying that this doesn't happen? He's like, yeah, it doesn't happen. He's like, but it does. It's quite clear. The news media has reported on it. People are talking about it. It's very obvious that he'll be in mid-sentence and the mic gets cut off, and then someone will say, okay, thank you for stopping, and blah, blah, blah. And he just, over and over again, Anthony Blinken said, no, doesn't happen. It's just your imagination, This is the world we live in, and when it gets to the point, this is just a personal opinion, when it's getting to the point that the lies are so overt that they're not something like, well, I have to kind of do a little work to figure out if they're lying. No, it's so overt that there's no one with any kind of logical mind, no one with any kind of sanity. If you got two healthy brain cells to rub together, you can figure this stuff out, and yet they're telling you that you're wrong, that's not the case. It's just your imagination. The amount of gaslighting going on, the lies, the deception. When a government gets to that point, to me, it's over. What happens after that is just, kind of a cause and effect thing. But it's done. It's done. And I remember probably about 6 months ago or so, I was mowing, and a lot of times I listen to either, audiobook or a podcast or something when I'm mowing. And at that time I was listening to Glenn Beck, and he said people need to mourn the death of this nation and get it over with. He says it's done. The republic is done. It's been done for a while. He said, and people have held on to that hope that there was just this right guy that was going to get in there and fix things, or this one particular piece of legislation or investigation was just going to happen and it was just going to fix everything. There was some kind of trust the plan kind of garbage that was going to just save everything. He says the republic is done, and we need to mourn that and get over with it. Many of you, including myself, have long since mourned the death of the republic and have moved on with it. But and now we're in the next stage of seriously preparing and everything. But many of you need to, my best advice is just to do that same thing. Just get over with your mourning. And I'm not trying to be insensitive. I'm just saying that it's like the loss of a loved one, right? We've grown up in a country where we're far more proud and more patriotic of being an American than probably any other person is of their own nation, their own origins. But we have to accept the truth, because the longer that we drag this out, the longer that we deny or have some level of hopium that, maybe the next guy is just gonna fix everything. It's just, there's been no guy that's fixed anything for decades, okay? It's not happened. Has there been a few wins and a few improvements here and there? Sure, but overall, spending has gone up. The government has grown in size. The government has taken more and more. It's become even more corrupt with every year, every passing year, and every president. It just is. And when we're to the level that we are just blatantly, bold-faced lying to the American public, straight-faced. Look at the White House press secretary, whatever the woman is that's, so multiculturally diverse or whatever she is. When we get to that point that we're lying at that level, it's done, folks. It's just done. And it's not just because of this presidency or this White House. This is just the state of the government. And I truly don't think that changing the person that sits in the White House is going to have a whole lot of effect, because there's only so much that one person could do. And so I think it's best for everyone to just, get over it. It's done, and now we have to move beyond that and stop having this hope that, well, maybe I don't have to be as hardcore about preparations, or maybe that's my contingency plan, right? I prep, but my real contingency plan is that, some guy is going to get into the White House and just going to happen to save the day. Well, golly gee, it's going to be good. That's not a contingency plan, folks. That doesn't work, because we know that it's not going to happen. We know that it is absolutely inevitable that governments just become more corrupt. We're at a point now that the only way, in my mind, and this is an opinion, the only way to really make that level of radical change is through an all-out revolution. I'm not advocating violence in any way, but our Constitution pretty clearly set up two ways to make massive changes in our government, and that's through the political means, the multi-levels of political ways to change things and improve things, or the, revolutions. It's the ballot box or the cartridge box. And we've done the ballot box for decades, and it's not gotten any better. So I'm pretty sure that's not going to work. I'm not advocating the cartridge box, mostly because the American people aren't ready. How in the world can anyone revolt against, the powers that rule over them if they're so dependent upon those powers that are ruling over them? If they're still suckling off of the government in some form or fashion, or the systems that exist because of the government. If you're highly dependent upon the healthcare and the electrical grid and the gasoline and the food supply and the protection and all of this kind of stuff from government, you're not going to have a very good time revolting against it if you're dependent upon it. It's like you're shooting yourself in the foot. And so that's why I don't advocate for that at all. But I'm telling you, we've got to realize that it's done. We're watching. Rome is already done. We're at the core, and we're watching Rome just fall apart, and the big chunks fall off. And at some point, it'll be done, at least in this sense, and maybe it'll be reborn into something even worse, which happened to Rome many times, and still to this day. But we have to just accept the truth of what's going on, and then prepare according to that. That, be in the understanding that it's done, it's not coming back, and we have to just take the responsibility for our lives and all the needs of our lives in our own hands, in our community's hands, and stop being so dependent that, my prep plans, are based on that there'll be electric grid, or that I'll be able to go to the doctor, or, last night we were talking a lot about health, not the whole video, and people were asking, someone asked that, I thought, this was a prepper channel, not some health channel. If your personal health isn't as optimal as you can make it, then you're going to fail very quickly. No matter how skilled you are, how knowledgeable you are, how good of the gear and stuff you have, if you physically can't do it, then you're done. And that's why, a little over a year ago, my wife and I made a major decision in our lives to completely change our whole diet, our lifestyle, and everything. We were already very clean, organic, non-processed, but we went, as far as we could, and it's made massive changes in our lives. We are so much healthier. Weight loss, overall health, everything. And, doing stuff like that because you're that serious, that things are going to get bad. Building strong communities and looking at ways to completely sever your ties, or at least what are you going to do when you have to sever those ties. These are the things that we need to do to get ready, because we can no longer depend upon the government in any form or fashion to take care of us. Folks, right now it's time to get your houses in order and to prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.